Hey guys, so I just watched this incredible, crazy show called Behind Her Eyes, which is on Netflix right now. And there are all kinds of things going on in there about narcissists and negotiating with narcissists. And I'm going to break it all down for you right here in this video. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Rebecca Zung. I've been recognized as one of the top 1% of attorneys in the country, and I've written a couple of best-selling books, Negotiate Like You Matter and Breaking Free, a Step-by-Step Divorce Guide, and I help millions. I've helped millions of people go from lives of drama, trauma, and chaos and step into lives of freedom, possibility, and purpose and deal with narcissists and step-by-step guidance in dealing with narcissists. And if that's what you want, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. Okay, so this show is kind of crazy. So it's about this guy who's a psychiatrist named Dr. David Ferguson, and he and his wife relocate to this new town. And he meets up with this woman who ends up being his secretary and also ends up being his mistress. And all this crazy stuff goes on. It's sort of a psychological thriller, and there's also sort of like some mysticism in it and some crazy stuff. But there's definitely some shades of narcissism and also how to negotiate with narcissists in it. So let's start with Dr. David Ferguson. He starts off by seeming like he's the narcissist because he is coming on to this woman. He's cheating on his wife. And if you want to know more about narcissists and cheating, definitely check out my video on that topic. But he's like doing this. He's like coming on to her. He comes on strong. He seems super charming. He's love bombing her. And he's giving this whole story like, his life at home is so terrible. Narcissists often play the victim, especially if they are covert narcissists. So if you want to know more about the covert passive aggressive narcissist, you can definitely check out my video on that. But anyway, so he's coming on to her. Then he finds out she's the secretary. She's like, no, I don't want to have a relationship. This is the end of that. But then he's like showing up at her apartment, and he doesn't give up, no boundaries. That's a narcissistic trait too. They don't have any boundaries. So you see them like, okay, I'm going to keep showing up. I'm going to keep doing this. And so finally she relents and she ends up involved with this guy. Now, the next thing that happens is that the wife starts like befriending her as well. And she's like, oh, come with me to the gym. Let's do things. And she presents herself kind of as the victim. And that's what Louise, the secretary, thinks is happening. Initially, she's like, okay, this person is definitely the victim. He's like, too controlling, he's like checking on her. And to Louise, it seems like, this guy is like a total control freak and like he's definitely the narcissist, right? I mean, because narcissists are definitely control freaks. And the fact that the wife had to like be in the house at a certain time and call him at a certain time, it made it really seem like, there's something going on with that. I mean, if I had seen that, I would think that too, right? So that's how it initially seems. And at some point, she starts to realize that the wife actually may be the one who's the narcissist. Like the wife is actually the one who's pulling all these strings and causing all these things to happen. And then there's this other layer, the third layer, which is the guy that the wife was friends with when she was in rehab. His name is Rob. And it turns out that Rob might actually be the narcissist. He's like coveting things that they have. He's like, oh, you have the perfect relationship. I wish I had that. Envy is one of the really big narcissistic traits. It's also one of the DSM-5 traits of narcissism. And so he's like jealous. He seems to be wanting what she has and pulling strings and trying to control her as well. So you're left with like, oh my God, what's going on? Who's the narcissist? And what am I supposed to believe? Now, I'm not going to give away the ending. I don't want to do too much of a spoiler here because it's kind of crazy, and you definitely should watch it yourself if you want to find out what actually happens, because it's like a crazy ending. So, but I wanted to sort of go back to Louise, who's the secretary, sort of the main character who's involved with everybody in the storylines except for Rob. But and just sort of talk about the things that she could have done. All right? So to negotiate a little bit better. All right? So one of the things that she could have done is to create more boundaries. All right? So when she started to realize, okay, this guy's married and he's my boss, I'm going to have to go ahead and say no. You can't come up to my apartment. You can't call me. I'm not going to get involved with you. No, the answer is no. So that's one of the ways that she could have created boundaries. Another one is with the wife herself. When the wife was like, oh, let's be friends, let's do all these things, but don't tell my husband, who also happens to be your boss. And, she also happens to be sleeping with, but that's another whole thing. But she just like didn't do that. She like continued to have these sort of secret relationships with each of them. So what does that mean? Does that mean that Louise was the narcissist? Maybe she enjoyed all the attention. Maybe she enjoyed all the adulation. Maybe she enjoyed controlling these two people and being in the middle of this, seemingly beautiful couple who seemed to have it all, lots of money, looks, all of these things, prestige. And maybe she enjoyed having that. But, she could have decided to, not speak to either of them again, or certainly not speak to the wife, and, just had a business relationship with the husband. So creating really super strong boundaries, that's definitely one of the things that she could have done to negotiate with them a little bit better. The other thing that she could have done, the next thing that she could have done, is do more research. When she started to realize that things weren't adding up, she wasn't really doing her research. I mean, it wasn't until the end that she started to get on Google and started to look for people and try to figure out what was going on. Why hadn't she done that ever before that? I mean, why didn't she try to figure out what's all the mystery that's going on here? How come I don't have answers to a lot of these questions? Like, why the wife doesn't seem to have any friends, and why the husband seems to be controlling her so much. And, she found information online later on like way later in the show, about how, there'd been this fire and maybe he had saved her from the fire and all of this stuff. And, so like, I don't know why she didn't do a research before that, but clearly one of the ways that you can really negotiate from a place of strength, from a place of power, is having done your research. Okay. So you're going to research your side, you're going to research the other side. And if you want to know more about what to do and where to start when you want to negotiate from a powerful position, make sure to grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep worksheet at winmynegotiation.com. That'll help you with all that stuff. Okay, so then the last thing that she should have done is used her leverage. When she ended up having to quit her job because of things going on with, that I don't want to give too much of a spoiler alert, but she ended up having to quit her job. And, when she ended up losing her job, she could have at least maybe used her leverage of like potentially exposing her boss, the psychiatrist, because exposing narcissists is one of the things that they definitely do not want. Okay. And, when you are creating leverage, you're putting pressure on, you're squeezing the other side, you're getting them to be motivated. You want them to feel a little bit of pain. Okay. So, that's one of the things that she could have done. And, if she didn't want to fully expose him, she could have at least said, okay, I'll quit and I won't do these things. I won't ever say anything to anybody about what's going on here. if you at least give me a reference or help me find another job, used that situation to her advantage. So anyway, there's so much more that goes on in this crazy show. I mean, it's like kind of gripping, like it's like you don't want to watch, but then you do want to watch. It's kind of crazy. So anyway, go check it out. It's on Netflix. It's Behind Her Eyes. And also, if you are getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist, make sure you come on back here. Subscribe to my channel, hit that notification bell. If you like this video, give it a like, give it a share, drop me a comment. I want to see Behind Her Eyes in the comment. Give me a comment below, because that will tell me that you were here and that you watched this. And I want to know what your favorite part was. So give me a comment below and let me know what your favorite part of the movie was. I'm Rebecca Zung, and if you want to come join me in my free private Facebook group, you are certainly welcome to do that too, Narcissist Negotiators. And remember, today is a great day to start negotiating your best life. And I will see you in the next video.